Ladies, are you over the age of 30, highly advanced in your career, making well over six figures, but yet you're still struggling to find love? I'm going to give you some reasons why. Number 2 is crucially important, and number 4 may surprise you. Keep listening. Of course, the men are always welcome here, but today I'm talking to the ladies specifically. Now, what makes me qualified to talk about this? Well, first of all, I'm 54 years old, so I have a lot of life experience behind me, and I am a married lady. I've been married for about 13 years now. This is actually my second marriage. In my 20s, I was married for about 10 years. Yes, that marriage failed, but it was a learning experience for me, so we all learn in life. And in addition to that, I'm surrounded in my family by high quality, high earning professional men. Basically everyone in my family that I can think of, I can't think of any that are not, are men that are advanced in their careers. They make very good money, over six figures, and they are, quite frankly, sought after by many women. That includes my husband, by the way. He's also a high earning professional man. So I have the perspective of these types of men, and I've had conversations with them, and I learn about what they look for in women. Not just women to have sex with, but women that they would consider being in their life permanently or in a long-term relationship or to get married to. Now, I know this can be a very controversial topic because, first of all, the not all police will come for me. Oh, it's not all. Oh, it's not everybody. Oh, that doesn't apply to me. Well, that goes without saying. Of course, when we talk about things, we're talking in general terms. We're talking about the majority. We're talking about what applies to most people in the situation. So if it doesn't apply to you, hey, let it fly. It's okay. We're talking about the majority. And I know sometimes people don't like the truth. The truth is the truth. Regardless of how much we don't want something to be true, it doesn't change the fact that it's still true. So let's start with number 1. High quality men do not really care about your money, your career, and your accomplishments. At least not in the way that you think they do. Now, I'm not saying that quality men want you to be a bum. I'm not saying that they want you to just be a loser. Nobody's saying that. They want you to be a responsible adult, take care of your responsibilities. But beyond that, all these, I climbed the corporate ladder and I'm the vice president and I make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and I'm a boss babe, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Men don't really care about those things. I put it in the "oh, it's nice" category. What I mean by the "oh, it's nice" category is, let's say, for example, you had a collection of, antique paintings. It's nice that you have a collection of antique paintings. Nobody's gonna say you shouldn't have them. Nobody's gonna put you down for having them. Nobody's gonna say that, oh, it's terrible that you have it. It's nice that you have it, but does anybody really care? Not really. Let's say tomorrow you sold all of your paintings, you got rid of them all. Would it really matter to anybody? Not really. So that's why I say your career and your accomplishments is nice. It's something you can talk about. It's a conversation, but does anybody really care? Not really, and especially not high quality men. So women have this idea that they lead with their accomplishments. They lead with how much money they make. They lead with their career. They lead with, I have a house, I have this, I have a nice car. And it's really not what quality men care about. Now, there may be some men who care about that, but those are not the men that you want. The quality men that you desire don't care about those things, not in the way that you think they do. It's like it comes secondary, but primarily is not really what they care about. Because quality men have their own things going on. They have their own accomplishments. They're making their own money. They've got their own careers. So, whatever you're doing with your career, it really doesn't matter to them in the way that you think it does. Now, this one is going to be very controversial. Men are not intimidated by you. They just don't like you. What I mean by that is, let's think of the typical personality traits that come along with a woman who is making a lot of money and who is highly accomplished. You know, it's, you can't tell me what to do. I know best. You can't correct me. You're not my daddy. It's my way or the highway. You know, you get the idea. So these are the types of personality traits that will turn off a high quality man. A high quality man is looking for a woman who's soft, a woman who is gonna get on his page, a woman who is gonna listen to him and be respectful, not in a way that you think like, oh, I have to do what he says. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, if he says something to you, are you gonna be defensive about it, or are you gonna take it in and try to self-reflect about it? Are you gonna be nice? Are you gonna be kind? Are you gonna be cooperative? Are you gonna be just an overall nice, kind lady? These are the things that men are looking for. They don't care about your job. They don't care about your accomplishments. They just want you to be nice and just be kind and be gentle and just look after him, you know, in a very soft and genuine way. So typically, it's not your career, it's not your money, it's not your job, it's not your accomplishments that is, quote unquote, intimidating a man. He just doesn't like your personality. And that's really what it boils down to. And some women don't like to hear this, but this is the truth. And no matter how much we don't like the truth, it's still the truth. This is another one that's gonna hurt. You most likely own one or more pets. Now, I know we love our pets. They are family. I get it. But that's to you, not to everybody else, and especially not to a high quality man. Nobody wants to deal with your pets. I know we don't like to hear this because we love our pets. So when a man comes over to your home and he sits on the couch, he doesn't want to have hair all over his clothes. He doesn't want to deal with your shedding animal. He doesn't want your dog to be sleeping in the bed. You know, that might just be a complete turnoff to a high quality man. And, you know, when you have a pet and you love your pet and you're, quote, close with your pet can be jealous. So what happens when your man comes over and you guys are being intimate in the bedroom and the dog is clawing at the door? The dog is barking because he's jealous. Or even worse, he's at the foot of the bed or even on the bed when you guys are trying to be intimate. No man wants to deal with that crap. Yes, they're your pets and you love them. But other people are not going to love them, especially not a man. And let's take it even further. Let's say you want to go somewhere and meet after work for a drink or for dinner. Oh no, I have to go home because I have to feed Fido or I have to take Fido for a walk. So now all your plans have to revolve around your pet. Let's go away for the weekend. Oh no, I have nobody to keep Fido. I have to find somebody. So maybe we have to put it off for another time. So now our plans have to revolve around your pet. These are things that women don't think about when they're dating. And if you think about a typical woman who has a career, has her own home, has her own car, her own money, and she's maybe dating here and there, these are the typical kinds of women who have pets. For the most part, I'm not saying everybody, but for the most part, they'll have at least one dog, at least cat, or even multiple pets. Men do not like this. They don't want to deal with your pets. It's just the truth. Now, this one may surprise you. You most likely own your own home. And then you'll say, well, owning my own home, like, isn't that a good thing? Isn't that a plus? In the general sense, yes, it is a plus. But when it comes to dating, no, it's not a plus. And let me explain why. So let's say you're dating someone and things are getting serious. Things are moving along. You're maybe thinking about maybe moving in together or maybe even getting married. So now what happens? Are you going to sell your home? Are you going to have him move in with you? That's not likely. Are you going to maybe find a home together. So now you have to either sell your home or put it on rent, or it just adds another layer of complexity to, getting serious with somebody, because now this is something that you have to navigate. So, and let's contrast that with a young lady who's renting an apartment. When you're renting an apartment, things are easy. At the end of your lease, you just move out. And if you guys want to get serious or get married or move in together, you either move in with him or you find a place together. So it's a layer of complexity that doesn't exist when you don't have a home. And not only the home itself, but what about all your belongings? Now you have furniture, you have, years and years of belongings that have accumulated. So it just adds more layers of things to deal with when you have a home, when you actually want to get serious with somebody. Because when you really think about it, most ladies are going to say, me sell my home? Oh, hell no, I'm not selling my home. But do you really want a man moving in with you? Probably not. So then you come to an impasse, and sometimes that could even possibly break up the relationship because you can't come to an agreement. So owning your own home when you really want to get serious with somebody is definitely a negative thing. So some women don't see it that way, but it is. Most likely you have student loan debt. So let's be frank. Many women in the United States, or even around the world, but I'm talking specifically about the United States, when they have advanced degrees, maybe master's degrees, PhDs, maybe even in the case of bachelor's degrees, and then they have professional certifications that they have earned over the years, and they're advanced in their careers. Most people, unless you came from money, that may be true in a few cases, but unless you came from money, you most likely have student loan debt. Some people are paying off student loans into their 50s. So when you get serious with somebody and you guys are thinking about blending your lives together, moving in together, or getting married, guess what that man knows? He knows that in some way, shape, or form, he's going to have to help you with that debt or take on that debt in some way. And for some men, this could be a deal breaker because, some people's student loans are in the hundreds of thousands. I mean, that might be rare, but it does happen. But I'm thinking that most professional women have some form of student debt that they're carrying into their 30s and 40s, especially if they're single, because they have to carry that debt on their own shoulders. And a man coming into your life knows in some way that he's going to have to help with that. Quality men value legacy. Now, this is very important. What I mean is, men who have forward motion, who are advanced in their careers, who are making good money, who have something going for themselves, when they're looking for a life partner or a wife, they want legacy for the most part. You may have an odd one or two that don't want to do that, but for the most part, they value legacy. They want their own children to carry on their name. So if you have focused on your career your entire life and you're now well into your 30s, maybe into your 40s, a man is not going to value you for legacy because now you're too old. Let's just be frank. If they want a woman to have children with, they're looking for someone in their 20s and at the latest early 30s. Because let's say, for example, they want 2, 3, 4 children. Are they really going to realistically date a woman who's 36 or 37? I'm not saying it can't happen, but let's be realistic. It's probably not going to happen. So that's why I said that if you have focused on your career your entire life, you've spent 1 or 2 decades working on your career and your accomplishments, and now you want to get serious, these high value men, they're really not going to give you the time of day because for the most part, they want children. And they know if they want multiple children, you probably can't provide it to them in a healthy and sustainable way. So this is really a big one for men. And this is why I always advise women, if you want a family and you want children, don't wait too long. Because the type of man that you want to be with, They're not going to consider you because you're too old. Women by nature are hypergamous. I always get this word wrong, but I think I'm saying it right. Hypergamous. Let's see, I wrote it down here. Hypergamy is the action of marrying or forming a sexual relationship with a person of a superior sociological or educational background. So for the most part, by nature, women always want a man who is more powerful, who has more money, who comes from a better social background, etc., etc. You get the idea. Most women are not going to willingly marry a man who is from a lower socioeconomic status. I mean, it may happen, but most women are not looking for that. So I say that to say that when you are advanced in your career as a woman and you're making lots of money, you might be making hundreds of thousands or who knows, maybe over $1 million. You are, for the most part, going to be looking for a man who makes more than you do, doing better than you in life. So let's just say, for example, you make $300,000 a year. Are you realistically going to date a man who makes $100,000? Most women would say, hell no. But at the same time, if you're looking for a man who makes more than you, more than 300,000, I mean, let's be real. Men who are making that kind of money, I mean, let's be realistic. A man like that who is making that kind of money, he has all the options in the world. He could basically choose any woman he wants from 18 all the way up to, I don't know, whatever age, 50. He could choose literally any woman he wants because these men are such a small percentage of the population and they are in very high demand. So the question becomes, if this man has all of these options, why would he choose you? So you kind of like price yourself out of the market because you're always looking for someone who's doing better than you, who's making more than you. And those types of men have so many options that it probably will never happen. So, you know, we always talk about this thing about settling. It's not really settling, it's really getting with someone when it's more realistic. In other words, if you're making 300,000 as a female, maybe you should look for someone who's making less, because when you look at someone who's making more, it's not realistic because those men have so many options. And in reality, women don't like to hear this, but when you make that much money as a female and you get with a man who makes less than you, which is probably what will end up happening if you want to be with somebody, you're going to end up being the majority of the breadwinner. And that's a sad reality for many women who prioritize their career, because now you can't get with the man who's making more than 300,000 because he doesn't want you because he has so many options. So now you're going to quote unquote settle for a man who's making 100,000. So now, because you're making so much more, you're going to be the one who's footing most of the bills. And that's just the reality. It's not saying that it's right or wrong. That is going to be the reality of your life if you want to settle down with somebody. You most likely prioritized your professional and educational goals over interpersonal skills. So if you have spent the last decade or more curating your professional skills and getting your education and getting advanced degrees, etc., I mean, that's great. But have you also spent time and energy, you know, learning relationship skills and learning about the opposite sex and learning how to be in a relationship? Have you worked on those skills? Have you learned about what's important to men? Are these things that you've worked on? And most likely you have not. This is the reality. Most women have not. They have spent 5, 10, 15, 20 years working on their careers. They've gone to school, they've gotten professional accolades, and now they find themselves 35 or 40 years old and they have no relationship skills. They may have been in a couple of relationships here and there, but they really haven't worked those relationship muscles. And now, you know, they're not developed. So now you look up after you've accomplished all these things and you want to settle down with somebody and you really don't have relationship skills. You may think that you do, but you really don't, because that's something you have to practice. So this is a problem for a lot of professional ladies. Your price in the dating market has declined. Now, some ladies, when they hear this, they get offended. They say, "What do you mean my price? I'm not for sale." Well, this is not what it means. We're talking specifically about the dating market, not your value as a human being, not your value as a person, not your value in society, specifically the dating market. The older you get, the more your dating market value declines. And this is very simple. If you think about a man that you may consider dating, he definitely has a ranking in your mind, or another word of saying ranking is value. If you look at a man, you put him on a certain scale and you give him a certain value, whether it's spoken or unspoken, that man has a value in the dating market. How much he is in demand, how many women want him, how accomplished is he, etc. He has a value in the dating market, not as a person. In the same way, women have a value in the dating market. So for example, a 25-year-old attractive female with no children will have a higher value in the dating market than a 50-year-old who has 2 children, who's unmarried. It's just the truth. You know, we don't like it, but it's the truth. Those 2 women have 2 different values or prices in the dating market. You've waited too long and your window of opportunity may have closed. So when you're thinking about being in a long-term relationship or getting married, women have a much shorter window to work with than men. So let's look at a woman, for example. A woman is at her peak beauty and fertility, between, let's say, 16 and, I don't know, 35? That's a pretty big window, but let's say between 16 and 35. So if you kind of miss that window, you've kind of missed your opportunity to really, how should I say, get married and have kids. Now let's look at a man, for example. A man doesn't really start to get his act together until maybe his 30s. And then he starts to, make a little bit of money and get his career in order and get his life in order. That man has a window all the way up to probably his 60s that he can demand a high quality woman, because he doesn't have to worry about fertility. As he gets older, he just makes more and more and more money. He gets more experience, he has more resources, he has more power, and he can demand a higher quality woman as he gets older. Women can't do that. So women have, in my view, at the most 20 years to kind of get it together when it comes to relationships. Men have 30 plus 40 years probably, because they don't have the same limitations that women do. Because, women, their currency is really their beauty and their fertility. Men, their currency is their accomplishments, their money, their resources, their power. So as a woman, if you've waited until 35 or 40 to seek out a high quality relationship, you've probably missed your window, unfortunately. I wanted to add in a little bonus here. It's kind of related to this topic, but kind of indirectly. It's this idea that older men chase younger women. I kind of have a different take on this. I think it's more the opposite. I think it's more the younger women that chase the older men. If you think back to middle school, high school, college, what did the girls always do? Let's say, for example, I don't know, high school, or let's go back as far as middle school. The girls always wanted to be around the boys that had a driver's license, the boys that had a car, the boys that could take them places, because at that time they didn't have access to that because they were too young. As they got older into high school, what did they want? They wanted the boys that had the good job, or the boy that was already in college, because he had more freedom, he had a car, he had a job, he had more money. So they would always place themselves in situations where they could be around the older boys. And then when you get into college, what did the girls want? They wanted the seniors. They wanted the ones who were about to graduate, because They were going to graduate into a good job, and maybe they were about to get their own place or their own house. So that was exciting. You know, the girls, they wanted to be around the older boys, the seniors, maybe even the ones who were in grad school or law school or whatever the case may be. Then when you get out of college, what did the young ladies want? They wanted the boys who were already established in their jobs, established in their careers, because now they have their own house. They have more money, they have access to more resources. So they go after the older, you know, maybe 5, 10 years older. And this is true all the way through life. This doesn't change. I mean, it may, the gap may get smaller as you get older, but it doesn't change. The women, the ladies, the girls, they always want older. They always want more power, more money, more resources. So I say all that to say that, you know, sometimes you hear women say, oh, I can't believe these men, they just always chase these young girls. But I really, truly think it's the opposite. I think it's the girls who are chasing the older men. So I just wanted to throw that in. It might not really be related to the topic, but it's kind of related because sometimes women in their 30s will say, oh, you know, these men, they just always chasing these younger girls. They never give us a chance.